This is a really important update for parents who are currently using the child maintenance service because there's been a change of internal policy at the child maintenance service, and it's very, very important that I tell you this. It all concerns the reporting of missed payments. Now, many of you will be aware that you report a missed payment on the CMS portal, and that's the most efficient way of reporting a missed payment because all you have to do is log on, say the payment's been missed, and it's done. Now, what that normally does is that then triggers a message to the paying parent, and the paying parent then has to go into the portal and prove that they've paid, and they have 14 days. Well, I say 14 days, not any longer in some cases, because what they've done is apparently the system's been changed now, so that if you are a user of the portal, if you are a paying parent that uses the CMS portal, when you get that notification, you now have 7 days. Okay, 7 days, not 14. Now, if you don't use the portal, if you're not registered, you still have 14 days, not 7. You are untouched by this. However, there is a concern here, and I guess what at this point you're thinking, great, well, okay, if I'm going to miss a payment, I'm better off not being in the portal. I'll deregister from the portal. I don't recommend that, and the reason I don't recommend that is because when CMS send you a letter through the post, in my own experience, it takes anything up to 10 days to arrive. If it takes 10 days to arrive and I've got a 14-day response window, I've only got 4 days left. That's 4 days to respond, send it back to the CMS. So this is why I recommend that you stick with the portal, because if you get the notification that you haven't paid via the portal, you will know same day and you need to go online. And then where's this important? This is obviously important for paying parents to know about this, because some paying parents get false reports of non-payment fairly regularly. I know of one case where, for example, every time he goes on holiday, he's reported for not paying. Other cases I've come across, people are reported every month, every 2 to 3 months for not paying when they have been paying. Obviously, that's actually fraud, but you know, obviously in this particular case, if the window's now been cut from 14 days to 7, they need to react quicker. If you are a receiving parent, this means that potentially, if a payment is missed and reported, it means that the case will be put onto a collect and pay method, normally a DEO, a deduction from earnings order, i.e. the money comes from the pay, quicker, possibly as much as 7 days quicker. Is that a good thing? Yes, it is if you're not getting payments regularly. Is it a bad thing? Well, if it's one-off, yes, because some people go onto the system and they report their ex hasn't paid, okay, in the vain hope that actually it will chivvy them on. And I'm sure in most cases it does. But the trouble is, when you go into the system and report your ex hasn't paid, you're actually starting the process of applying for collect and pay. So this means the case could go to collect and pay quicker, and then potentially you could be without a payment for up to 3 months. So just always bear that in mind, that when you report a missed payment, you are actually asking for collect and pay. Why would I be telling you not to report it? Well, occasionally the ex-partner will give you a call and send you a message and say they can't pay, they're going to be a week late for whatever reason. Obviously, it's up to you to accept that or not, but now the window is shut. They haven't got 14 days, they've got 7 days, and then it will move to DEO. So you could find that the process is quicker. It will become a problem when the payments don't arrive. Good news is, if you go for that process, you report a missed payment, the payment arrives the next day, that afternoon, what you can do is you can ask the CMS not to go on collect and pay. Obviously the paying parent can, if they're put on collect and pay, they're on that for 12 months. After 6 months they can ask to come off, and they won't take them off, they'll put them on there for another 6 months by direct debit only, for 6 months, which is still chargeable, still charged, but you know, they will be on there for at least 12 months and probably 14, because the reality is, if they ask to come off after 6 months, but they won't do it until they've got the 6th payment. That 6th payment may have been made in June, but CMS might not get it to the end of July, because the employers have the 19th of the month following to pay it. So that what that means is they can request to come off, but the CMS say, no, we've not had your sixth payment yet. And then by the time they get the sixth payment, the employers process the seventh, so it becomes 7 payments. And then they do 6 months direct debit, and then they're a bit slow, and it's easily 14. So that's just something to be aware of. So very slight change to the system, gone from 14 days to 7 for portal users. Non-portal users are not affected by this. Now, we're coming up to Christmas now. We're into December already. This is what I'm expecting, my prediction for the next month. We get to the Christmas holidays and the run up to Christmas. There will be lots of calls from parents saying, you need to buy Christmas presents, I need extra money. And that's great if you can afford it. If you're a paying parent and you can afford it, fantastic, do that, okay? But just remember, your Christmas presents do not count as CMS payments, okay? Only the money that you transfer on the day that you're supposed to do for the right amount counts. So if you transfer money for Christmas presents, that is not a CMS payment. Likewise, we'll get to December, we'll get to Christmas holidays, and then suddenly the children will want extra school uniforms as we go into the spring term. Again, your CMS payment represents your full legal liability. If you can afford to pay the extra, great, but just be careful, okay? I caution everyone on this because we all know what the CMS is like. There is no leeway, and if you go sick, for example, and you're sick for 12 weeks, the CMS will not reduce your payments in the meantime. So always be cautious, okay? If you're paying extra money, which is great if you can afford to do that, just bear in mind those extra payments will not count. And so over the next 6 weeks, on the Facebook group that I run, which has got nearly 12,000 members now, I expect to see an uptake of questions about Christmas presents, and then followed by what do we do about school uniforms, okay? As you're aware from my previous video about school uniforms, the CMS do not dictate what CMS money is used for, okay? It is quite simply an exchange of money from one party to another. It's percentage based for normal earners, it's fixed if you're on benefits, but basically it's the exchange of money. The paying parent cannot demand what that money is used for, cannot ask for receipts, and likewise the receiving parent doesn't have to justify what it's spent for. They can spend it on anything. Although I would suggest that the first part of money that they're using is probably being used to pay the rent or the mortgage on the property that the child lives at. Okay, and that's just the way it is. You can't specify it's used for a particular purpose. So people just forget about it. All right. So if you can't afford the extras, do not be coerced into paying it. If you can, great, pay the extras. CMS don't require you to do it. If you ring the CMS, okay, you can if you want. They're not going to tell you it has to be spent on certain things. It's just simply a transfer of money. If you want to look in the book that CMS give you, you'll see in there, there's no such thing as a list. There's no list as to what CMS should be spent on. Okay, it is simply a transfer of money from one party to another. Hopefully that explains a few things for you. Hopefully you'll have a good Christmas. See you later.